Hello you guys, it is me. Welcome back. So I just first off want to say I'm super sick right now. I will probably be coughing and sneezing. There you go. So please excuse that I'm super sick right now. I'm pretty sure I have a fever also, but it's like a low-grade fever. I should be in bed, but I'm not tired. It's strange. I'm like exhausted and sick, but not tired. So I don't know, it's strange. I just know that I think it was last week I was live streaming over on TikTok, and oh, if you want to follow me on TikTok, by the way, if you have TikTok, I live stream over there sometimes. I will put my TikTok name below. Yeah, so I told everyone there that I would make a new tutorial this week, and I've been sick and busy with Christmas time and everything, so I just felt bad in case anyone was waiting for a new tutorial. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to keep my word. So even though I'm sick, I'm here to make another tutorial for you guys. Excuse the coughing and sneezing. Like I said, I am moving my mouth away from the camera when I cough, so I am not coughing in your ear, so excuse me for that. Okay, so today's tutorial is going to be a pencil crayon Galaxy again. This time we're going to do a cloud, Galaxy cloud, and we will be doing it in a colored sky, so it won't be black. I will do another tutorial to show you how to do a pencil crayon Galaxy cloud with a black sky. So this one's going to be a colored sky. We're going to be working with the color red today. Okay, so let's get started. So as usual, I'm just going to draw a square. It's just an easy shape to do. So we're just going to draw a square. You could do any shape you want. You could do a circle, you could do a triangle, whatever you want. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just don't want to color in the whole paper because that's more work. So that's why I'm making a small square. Excuse me. I'm drinking tea also, so you might hear me drinking some hot peppermint tea right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our cloud shape. We're going with a white pencil crayon, Prismacolour Premier PC924, and you're just going to make a shape. So just generally you pick one area, like a closed in area, or if it's like a big piece of paper, like a sky, for example, you just pick one area where you want to start your cloud and one area where you want to end it. So it generally works better for me anyways, when you're starting on a line that, you know, like a beginning and an end, or from here to here, or from here to there. Or say there's an object here, like a flower, you would put the cloud towards a flower and stop there and maybe continue on the other side of the flower. So really, it doesn't matter what the shape looks like. I like to do squiggly lines, so we're just gonna do random squiggly lines. They could be any shape. And then when you do your second white line, you're kind of like following the same kind of idea on the other side, and try to stay close to this line so that the center isn't humongous. It's like still kind of thin in the middle, like that. So that's just the random shape I chose. Then we're going to go in with our first shade of red, our lightest red. Today we're using Scarlet Lake 923. We're going to color little circles and little circles with the lightest red that I just named. I hope you guys can understand me with my stuffed nose. And I'm just following that white line, coloring in little circles. Circles work better for me for blending than coloring horizontally or vertically. Sometimes you can add a little bit of horizontal and vertical coloring, but circles work the best, I find, for blending. And we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom line, just coloring in little circles. And I'm using like medium firm pressure. I'm not using like full firm pressure because then it would be too hard to blend. And your lines will be really prominent on your paper when you're trying to blend, and they won't blend as nicely. So don't use full pressure when you're laying down these colors, but try to like make sure the paper is not showing. Like I'll just color lightly if I see any paper spots showing. I'm just coloring horizontally, like just filling in the paper a little bit. Then I'm going to go to the second shade of red, which is our medium shade of red, which is Crimson Red PC924, and we're going to do the exact same thing. And we're going to follow that red line and do exactly what we did with the white line. Just color little tiny baby circles. Baby tends to be one of my favorite words to use in these tutorials. And I'm hoping I could do this tutorial because talking makes me cough more. And then do the same thing on the bottom line. I fear that I chose two reds that are too close to one another. As you see, the light red I chose and the medium red are very, very close in color. When you pick your colors, like the colors I gave you are just suggestions. Just always pick a light shade, a medium shade, and a dark shade, but try to make them like similar, but not the same. Like, see, these two aren't the best example because they're so similar. I think it'll still work out though. Because I have used these reds before for Galaxy and it turned out, because when you add the white, which we're going to do later on, it will come together. And for our dark shade of red, we're going to be using Crimson Lake PC925. We're going to do the exact same thing again. We're going to go in little circles and outline the medium red. Now, generally, I wouldn't put a galaxy cloud straight across like that, like horizontally across the page. I normally would like curve it. I don't know why I did it like that. It's not a big deal. Like, the cloud will still turn out the same, but it generally looks good when you do galaxy clouds on like vertical angles. I mean, what am I saying? Horizontal. Wow, I'm really sick, guys. I did not mean to say horizontal or vertical. Diagonal. Oh my gosh, my brain is so plugged with sickness. This is vertical, guys, for anyone who doesn't know. This is horizontal. This is diagonal. This is what I'm talking about. This is the one I'm trying to talk about. Not horizontal, not vertical, diagonal. So when you're doing galaxy clouds, it'd be good to like start from here and go up to here, kind of go on an angle, or from here and like kind of go up. But like going horizontally doesn't really look good. So I'm sorry that I did like that direction, because I normally wouldn't do it so like directly horizontal like that. Or even vertically, I wouldn't normally do them straight like that. It's always like on a slight angle. So my bad on that. Just ignore the fact that I did it straight across. Okay, now we're going to color in the inside with the same white pencil crayon that we had before, the Prismacolour Premier white pencil crayon, PC938. And now we're coloring full pressure. I'm just going to drink some tea. I hope me drinking on mic doesn't sound gross. I hope me sounding sick doesn't sound gross on your guys' end. Just wanted to get this tutorial out to you guys. Okay, I'm just coloring full pressure. Color that all in. I'm so annoyed that I did horizontally, but I hope you really understand what I meant. That you just, instead of drawing the white line straight across, I don't know why I did that. Just like wiggle it up this way, or you can kind of go horizontal, but then change the direction to go up. Excusez-moi. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do tiny little circles to blend the light red on both sides into the white. Tiny little circles again. So we're pulling the first red into the white, and I'm using full pressure. Let's keep going in circles. So I'm kind of like blending the red into the white. Kind of like mixing paints, really. And I'm pulling it, I'm adding a lot of pressure. And I'm going to do the same on this side. We're going to pull it all towards the center where the white is. So it's okay if you mix it around and get the white to look like, well, white and red obviously makes pink, so that's what you're going to get. A pinky color. And then you're just going to keep moving up. So we're going to go to the middle shade of red, and we're going to turn that with the white and pull it down into the light red. And then move up to the darkest red. And we're just going to keep blending them all together. And do the same on this side. Lots and lots of circles and full pressure. And you can like ease up on how hard you're coloring based on how you like it looking. Like if you want to color a little bit lighter because you feel like it looks too blended, or like you want it to be a little bit darker red or lighter red, whatever color you want it to look like for your Galaxy cloud. You could add more or less pressure, but just make sure you blend the reds in with the white. Like don't leave them a solid red. So I'm basically just mixing all three reds together, pulling them into the center where the white is. I'm still leaving a little bit of white. I'm not like completely getting rid of all of the white, which if you did, that's still okay too. It would just look more like a pinky lighter color, which sometimes that happens depending how thick you make this line in the beginning. You can make it thicker when you originally put down your white cloud center. You could make it thicker if you wanted. Now, if your hand's feeling sore in this moment, that is normal. If your hand is feeling a little bit sore, that's normal when you're coloring full pressure. Just take a break, give your hand a few minutes before you start again. Your art's not going to go anywhere, so you can always come back to it later if your hand's really too sore. When you color more often, your hand gets used to it and it gets like stronger. So it won't hurt as much the more that you color. Or maybe your hand doesn't hurt at all. That's awesome too. My hand is used to coloring Galaxies for so many years now that my hand's just used to the pressure of coloring and blending like this. And if it takes you longer to blend, remember, I have years of practice with this style of coloring, so you can just pause the video and just, however long it takes you, take as long as you want, take your time. You don't have to be coloring as fast as I'm coloring because, like I said, I have a lot of practice. It took me about 6 months, actually, of practicing and learning this technique to get it down the way I liked it. Regarding the stars and the clouds and just the blending and everything. Took me a lot of practice to get the hang of it. And other people will do the tutorial and get it right away. And some people need to do more practice. Everybody's different. And not everybody's will look the same, and that's okay. So you see I'm just blending it all together. Lots of circles. I'm so sorry that I'm sick, but I wanted to make this tutorial for you guys. Okay. And now, like regarding the white center, you can like move around the pinks that you've made and like pull them and push them around the way you like the way you want your cloud to look. Every Galaxy cloud is going to look different. So you can blend it more here, take away the edges and make it like more blended by adding more white, or if you like it just the way it is, you could leave it. Just make sure there's no hard lines, like just try to blend them, soften them with the white pencil crayon, so there won't be like harsh lines separating any of the colors. Then I'm just gonna get this is just a paintbrush, a mop watercolor paintbrush, to dust it in the garbage. There we go. And then we're gonna go with our darkest red. So we're gonna go back to Crimson Lake PC925. And we're just gonna kind of like outline the area of the cloud and color in the whole background that dark color. You can play around with the dark and the medium shade. So I'll just give you an example. So this is the darkest red I'm working with now. I'm coloring messily just to like lay down where I'm mapping the color. And you can like kind of like color up close like that, and then you could fill in like the rest of the paper right there with the medium red, which is Crimson Red 924, and just do 2 different colors in the sky. So whenever you're coloring in the sky, you can work with the darkest shade and the medium shade. Do not work with the light shade. We're going to be using that for blending later on. And whenever you mix 2 colors in the sky, like the background, overlap them. So I'm gonna like messily scribble around over the darker red with the medium red. And I'll just go back and forth with both colors just to like get them to blend into one another. And then up here, I'm just gonna do only dark. And you'll see as you experiment with different shades of colors, like just practicing on scrap paper before you like actually lay it down on your reel, like whatever project you want to make, that different shades of red or blue or purple, whatever colors you're working with, they'll react differently to blending with one another. Some colors work better with other colors. So I'm not going over the cloud, I'm kind of outlining the cloud. And here I'm adding complete full pressure in the background. Some people like to do it like slower and do like layers to color in like pencil crayon, like a dark area. Like they'll do like a light like this and they'll go over another time and another time. They'll do like 500 times to like get the background. But I don't have the patience for that, so I generally just colored in full pressure right away. So then when I'm gonna go back to the medium red, PC924, which is crimson red, and I'm going to overlap that red with circles. So I was going circles when I'm blending to, and I'm adding full pressure here, full pressure to medium pressure. I kind of go back between full and medium pressure when I'm trying to blend colors. And it's never like perfect, but it looks good enough to me. Because I find when you add the stars at the ending, like the ink stars in the sky, if there's any imperfections in your blending, the stars kind of take away your eyeball from any imperfections in the blending. So it looks fine in the end, in my opinion. You could take more time on blending the reds. So you can see there's not like a huge difference because the shades that I chose are really close to one another. But like if you were coloring a really big sky with lots of clouds, you would see the different shades of red. Like it gives it dimension instead of just using one color. But you can just use one color. You can color the sky in just all dark red or all medium red. Like up here, I'm just using the dark. So whenever you're working on a project, you could choose to do both shades, the medium shade and the dark shade, or you could just do the medium shade or just the dark shade. It's your choice, or a combo of both, whatever you like better. And with the sky, you can do horizontal and vertical coloring. I don't normally do circles for like heavy solid backgrounds. I just color however I want. And then I'm gonna get my paintbrush again. And the reason I use a paintbrush to dust off, I'm just dusting off the pencil crayon residue, like the crumbs. Because when I blow it, it just makes a mess of my desk. And when I try to wipe it, it makes a mess and smudges. So I find that this like just very nicely, like, I don't know, cleans the paper. Okay, now we're gonna go and get our red, our light red. We haven't used that at all in the sky, which is Scarlet Lake 923. So this is our lightest shade of red. Excuse me. And we're gonna go in little circles right down the middle of where the sky meets the cloud. So we're basically trying to soften and erase that line that's separating the cloud from the sky right down the middle. And we're gonna like go in little circles right down the middle. And this differs. You can use medium pressure, firm pressure, light pressure, whatever you gotta do to erase that line basically. So here I'm going kind of light to medium. And then you go back and forth, like into the sky, you pull out the light red and then you pull it down into this cloudy area. We're gonna blend this again with another pencil after we're done putting this color down. We're gonna use the colorless pencil crayon lastly. So sometimes the line is really prominent depending how much pressure you added when you were coloring around the cloud. Sometimes you can add like less pressure when you're coloring directly near the cloud. So when you come back to do this stage, it'll be a little bit easier to blend it in. But I like having the color really saturated, so that's why I use it with pretty firm pressure when I color in this sky. But if you find this part like really hard, like to blend in this part, just you can keep in mind when you're coloring close to the cloud, like the whole sky you can do dark, and when you get closer to this cloud, just maybe color a little bit lighter with your pressure, then it'll be, it should be a little bit easier to like blend it in. And certain colors, I don't know the reason why. Some colors blend easier than other shades of colors. I don't know the reason for that, but that's just the way it is. Some, just blend really quickly and really easily, and some are more challenging. So you get to know what colors you like and which ones you prefer to use when you're making galaxy clouds. Okay, and then we're gonna do the bottom, same thing. I'm gonna take some more tea, guys. Excuse me. I know I sound probably gross, guys. I'm so sorry. At least I'm using just my iPhone mic today, not my lavalier mic, which would be way more detailed on the sounds, which we don't need that when I'm sick. I feel like I'm in a tropical island right now with this fever. It's so hot. Okay. It really bothers me that I drew the shape horizontally for the cloud. I never do that. That was so weird that I did that. Like, I'm so sick right now. My brain is like foggy. But I promise you, I am giving you the right instructions. Just that one part. It's not like it looks like it's anything wrong with coloring, like drawing the cloud horizontally. I just don't prefer it usually. I like to make them wibble wobble and go in different shapes all over the paper, which you can experiment with. Now we're going to dust it off again with a brush. You don't have to do this. You could just shake it over the garbage if you prefer. Okay, and then the last step. Well, almost the last step, I should say. Getting a scrap piece of paper. So this is the Colourless pencil crayon, Prismacolour Premier, Colourless, PC1077. And this is just our wax pencil. So I'm just coloring on a scrap piece of paper just to get a flat edge on my pencil. Just so it's not pointy, so it's like a flat edge on the bottom. That's not zooming in at all. So it's just so like one edge is like flat. So when I blend, it won't be pointy, which will leave like pointy lines when we're coloring. We don't want that. So now I'm going to basically color little circles on the closest edge of where that light red we just made is like separating the cloud from that light red. So we're just gonna go in little circles to smudge it. We're kind of like softening that light red we just made into the cloud. And this is extremely light pressure. I'm barely touching the paper. Like light, very light to like a little bit firm, like still on the light end. Like such light pressure when I'm doing this. Like I'm barely touching the paper, but I'm doing a lot of circles. I'm gonna try to zoom in. You can see that. You see the edge right there? Separating from the cloud. We're just like going in little circles over that to smudge it out so it's not like a solid line. And even up here in the dark where the light separates from the dark, you can like go in circles there and soften it as much as you can. We're just trying to erase hard edges basically. And this pencil allows us to do that without adding any color to our paper. So see, I'm dipping out in the dark, I'm pulling it down to the middle. And if you feel like you're getting too much color on your pencil crayon, which this pencil crayon tends to do, you just wipe it off on a scrap piece of paper. You'll see how I was going out in the dark, then it came back down. Sometimes you don't want to bring too much dark down. So just because you tend to go, well, I tend to go back and forth between the dark and light. You just wipe it on scrap paper. So here I'm gonna soften the light red, the edge, coloring in circles. See the difference, how this looks all blendy? And there looks like a solid line, but here looks like cloudy. And then we're gonna do the same up here in the dark area. The dark won't be as like soft as the lighter area because obviously it's darker shades. And you can go up and down and just blend it all around to make it look soft without hard edges. And again, just wipe it off on your scrap paper and just keep doing that. And you can pull it down as far as you want. If you want to, excuse me, bring that light red down into the white, like further down, you could do that too if you like how it looks. So I can like go in circles here and I can pull it down. Because like I said, every galaxy cloud is different, so they can all look different. It doesn't matter. And then we're going back in the dark and softening up there. And see how I'm pulling it down a little bit? You can play around with how far you want to pull the dark down. Keep cleaning that off. I don't know, there's like a feeling to the colorless pencil crayon when it gets too much color on it. It feels slippery and really waxy. That's how you know it's picked up a lot of like the color you're working with. Because I find the colored pencil crayons feel more thick and waxy and slippery, but the colorless pencil crayon has like a dry feeling to it. Once you practice more, you'll get the hang of what I'm saying. So see how that side looks a little bit more cloudy and this side looks more distinct? Like separate the side. So if you like the sharp look better, I prefer to have things really overly blended. Like I really like things super blended in. But if you like the harsh line better and you just like the look of that, you can leave it like that if you don't want to do the extra blending step that I'm doing. Some people use white and soften it, which you can just use the white pencil crayon with like even less pressure. It's really up to you how you want to make your cloud look. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Okay, now we're gonna do the bottom one. And you can see it's really glossy in the light. See that? Very waxy, soft core pencil crayons. And what I do to get rid of that shine is I spray my art when I'm done coloring with a finishing spray. You can buy them in any art store online. Finishing art spray, and I normally choose matte. Some people like the glossy look, so they'll buy a finishing spray that's glossy. I prefer the matte, so I buy matte finishing spray, and that will dull down all that shine from your pencil crayon. And it'll also seal like wax bloom. Wax bloom is like this white waxy film that will rise to the surface on your art. So if you ever color like a big pencil crayon piece with Prismacolour Premier pencil crayons and you leave it sitting for a while and you're like, why does it look like there's white film on it? That's the wax bloom. And the spray will help keep the wax bloom down, like into the paper. And maybe every few months you could just wipe your art with like a very soft tissue or cloth to wipe away the wax bloom. And if you decide not to spray your art, you probably just will have to wipe it down more often because the wax bloom will come to the surface of your art more often than if you don't spray it. There's a lot of different brands out there. It doesn't really matter what brand you get. You could just ask any art store that's close to you or do like a Google search on which finishing spray you would prefer to use. I think the one I use is a German company. I can't even remember the name of it. It's a really big word. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm just softening what I did at the top, softening all the red lines. Bring them out as far as you want, just lots and lots of circles. I'm using like medium soft pressure. Use as much pressure as you want. You can see if it's doing what you want it to do. If it's not, add more or less pressure, depending on what you want it to look like. Just softening any dark lines separating here. Just try to blend them out a little bit more. I see it's coming together. Looks like a pretty cool galaxy cloud. And then when you add the stars, it kind of just comes together even more. And I'm just going to touch up here a little bit more. I think that's good enough. Gonna dust it off into the garbage. There's not that much crumbs that you got from the colorless pencil crayon. You won't get that much crumbs that like you do with the colored pencils. So it's normal if you like barely have any crumbs when you're blending with the colorless one. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with our UniPosca White paint pen. Excuse me. This is the 0.7 millimeter pin type. Shake it up. And get a scrap piece of paper again. And I'm just gonna wipe it off over here on some paper towel because it's messy from the last time I used it. And just pop it, prime it, get the ink flowing. Make sure your tip is clean and not caked up with old ink. Okay. And what I like to do with the clouds is I like to add a lot of tiny like stars to the white area. So we're just gonna dot down our ink. For like medium-sized stars, I color in little circles so the ink like makes a circle. If you want little stars, just barely touch your paper. Like the lighter that you touch your paper, like barely touch it, you'll get like tiny stars like that. The bigger you want them, just kind of color in a little circle to make more ink come out. And if your star looks deformed, like kind of like an oval or like a weird random shape, just keep dotting down more ink over and over on the same spot. And if the ink isn't flowing, just go back to your scrap paper and just like scribble it around, get the ink flowing so that you can make your stars like be circular. And just add a whole bunch of stars to the center of this cloud. You can let them go out to the edge of the cloud too, but we're focusing on keeping them like in a lighter, like the whiter area of. You could turn your paper, do whatever you want to get the stars in. Because if your stars look slightly deformed, if they're not perfectly, well, they're not going to be perfect, but I mean, in general, circular, they don't look as nice. It gives it like an overall messy finish if they're not circular. It's really nice to add different shapes. I mean, sizes, not shapes, my bad. Different sizes of circles instead of them all being the same shape. And there we have the galaxy cloud. It's still super bothering me that I drew it horizontally. Okay, and then you just add some stars to the sky. This is a really small square that I drew, so it's gonna look probably crowded that the stars in the sky have barely any space. But on like an area of like whatever you're working on, it'll look much nicer, like in a bigger area. Yeah, pretty much that is how I make my pencil crayon galaxy clouds, guys. And try it in different colors. Whatever socials you are on, if you try this, you can tag me and let me know that you tried it. And if you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section and I will get back to you. All my socials are the same. My Instagram is _cosmicgalaxies_. My TikTok is _cosmicgalaxies_. So it's not really hard to find me. If you need to message me, DM me, PM me on TikTok or DM me on Instagram. Or you could just ask questions in the comments here if you have any questions. And I hope this was helpful. Okay, guys. Bye.